Hey there, this is Taylor with your mad scientist and magical experimenter. And today I thought that what I would talk about is how I'm working with a particular spirit by the name of Glasolya-Labolas. He's a goetic demon. And the reason I'm working with him is because he's helping me out with a situation. He's actually helping a friend of mine out specifically. This friend is in the process of doing some research and needs some and part of this research involves actually getting some people to help to take part in the research. It's a case where they need to be observed and then they need to answer some questions and things like that. And this person is in a position of authority and so can't take direct part in the study. So the person is actually going and getting some help from a couple of other colleagues who are helping out. But when this person let their staff know that they were going to be doing this, the staff was going to be the actual people. Didn't really get much in the way of responses. And that can be discouraging when you've done a lot of work and everything else, and then all of a sudden the people that you need for something that you're doing, they don't show up. That can be really discouraging. Eventually, this person got one person to sign up, but one person doesn't make for good research. So I asked this person if I could actually take a crack at solving the problem using magic, and the person was open to it. And so what I ended up doing is I decided to connect with Glasolya-Labolas. Now, I've worked with Glasolya-Labolas before, and a little bit about him. He's a goetic demon of war, but also of diplomacy. And if we translate that into modern day vernacular, I would say really he's a demon of networking and of connections, and he's also a demon of memory. And so in this case, what I did is I came up with this working where the way it would work is that what Glasolya-Labolas would do is basically remind the people on this particular staff of all the ways that this person has shown up, their boss basically, how their boss has basically shown up and helped them out in different ways, and how this is the one time this person is asking for them to show up and help out in return. And so what's really happening here is that we're essentially we're essentially having Glasolya-Labolas focus on reminding them, so pinging their memory and reminding them of the ways this person has helped out, and also to basically having them at the same time basically pinging their awareness and making them aware of the fact that they really need to show up and do the work for this person, help this person out, take part in the study, so that this person can take the next step in their career and in their research. So the reason why I chose Glasolya-Labolas, as I said, because of what he represents, and also because it's an effective solution. It's a case where we're basically having Glasolya-Labolas influence the actions of people. In this case, the influence is really driven toward getting them to say yes to taking part in this specific study, and yes to doing yes to taking part in the research and doing what they need to do in order so that the research can happen and this person can finish up the work that they need to be finishing up. So to kind of give you an idea, the very first day that I started this work with Glasolya-Labolas, 2 more people signed up later that day. And we set this up as a retroactive enchantment. Since Glasolya-Labolas is a time demon, among other things, we set it up with the idea that he would start pinging, that his awareness work would have started when the person had made the initial request. So the idea really being that we would build up that influence over time, even the past time that had already occurred. So 2 people signed up instantly. And then a bit later, like about a half week later, I did a thing where I made sure that I did a public acknowledgement of Glasolya-Labolas, because that was one of the requests that he had. And then, and this really is yet another example of that. And then what happened is that another 2 people signed up and I haven't heard anything further back from my friend since then, so I have to do another check-in. But they had enough people to make the study viable. They wanted at least a couple more people, so we'll see what happens. But the fact of the matter is, now the work that they're trying to do is viable. And so this is a great example of how you can work with the Spirit to accomplish a specific goal. In this case, the goal really has to do with something that the person, and just reminding people of something that reminding them of how this person has helped them, and reminding them of the fact that this person needs help from them, and getting them to show up and do the necessary work, so that way it can help them out. It can help that person out. It helps the research get done, etc., etc. And so it's a matter of influence. And so Glasolya-Labolas is basically applying his influence in order to make these things happen. So I wanted to share that with you. And what's happening in return is that he is getting some type of public acknowledgement. In this case, really from me, because I'm the person employing him. In this regards, the person who requested the help did not actually ask for that to happen specifically, but left it up to me as to how I wanted to go about making it happen. And so it's a textbook case, really, of how things can be done. And the beauty of this really is that it's a case where really he's just running an influence, working on these people. He's influencing them to say yes, to go ahead and do what they need to do in order to make things happen for this particular research. Now, again, what he's asking for in return is some type of public acknowledgement, spreading the word, letting people know about him. And so, of course, that's what I'm doing here via this. I've done it a couple of other ways, via Facebook, etc. Not going to say that that's what you'll necessarily get if you were to work with him. There's a reason he's asking me in this particular case, because I've got a pretty decent audience. But I thought I would just share it with you as an example. And, oh, hey, there's Tilly in the background. You can say hello to him. He's right back there doing his thing. But I am going to show you real quick the painting that I have, the evocation portal of Glasolya-Labolas. So, this is you may not be able to see it that well, but this is the actual sigil of his painting. And, it's really an example of, this is an example of how I automate a lot of my magical workings. The painting is basically a permanent evocation portal, so I think that's pretty neat. If you want to find out more about that, you can get my free guide, which will allow you to learn some of my secrets for getting consistent results in magical work. All right, folks, so thank you and take care. Talk to you soon.